The secretive family that owns all of Europe. This should be a good one. Is the secretive family that owns all of Europe. I think they own America as well, but we don't know their names, do we? No, I'm slightly kidding. This was a recommendation from you guys. I think it has something to do with Sweden. It's a Swedish family. That's basically all of the extent of what I know about this video and this family, but this was a big one coming from Jake Tran. Curious to see what we got going on. About 3 years old, but family should still be around, so I can take a look at who they are and how they own so much shit. All right, enough rambling. Let's get into the video.
Deep within Europe lies the continent's most powerful business dynasty. Their family tree includes bankers, industrialists, politicians, bureaucrats, diplomats, military officials. They own everything from AstraZeneca to the Nasdaq stock exchange. They own more than a third of Sweden's entire stock exchange. Their web of companies employ over 1 million people, including almost half of Sweden's entire industrial workforce in the 70s. And today, their empire spans more than $275 billion, far exceeding Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or even Bernard Arnault. They've got ties to the richest.
I have to update that. This is about 3 years old. What did they say? Elon is now worth like $1 trillion or something. It's absurd. I don't even understand. I mean, I understand how that happens, but holy shit. I know it's not like liquid. He doesn't have $1 trillion liquid, but still, it's fucking crazy.
Most powerful people in the world. From the White House to the World Economic Forum, this clan has their tentacles everywhere. And yet, you've probably never heard of their name. You won't find a single one of them on the Forbes billionaire list. And that's because they've worked very hard to stay in the shadows, hardly ever making any public appearances or interviews. Why? Because getting to the top is messy. And getting to the point where you own the entire continent of Europe, you're gonna have a lot of skeletons in your closet that you'd rather not have the masses know about. We don't want to stroke up any envy or any antitrust talk now, would we? Stay dangerous and say hello to the Wallenbergs, the family that owns all of Europe. Shout out to this member of the channel for suggesting this video idea, and let me know what video I should do next in the comments below.
He says they have more power than Rothschild. They own Ericsson, which owns patents for telecom, and they own the telecommunication infrastructure. They also own AB. Damn. More powerful than the Rothschilds? I feel like the Rothschilds are like the poster, poster child. You know, they're like when anyone ever thinks of a rich family that they hate that basically has a big part of ruling the world, it's like the Rothschilds. So it's like the first family that comes to mind. So I haven't heard of the Wallenbergs. All right.
If you happen to run an online store or an e-commerce business, and you're looking to save more time and money with shipping, then you have to check out ShipStation. ShipStation is hands down the best way to ship, because it allows you to automate and streamline your entire shipping process, while saving you up to 84% from top carriers like UPS, USPS, and DHL Express. Over 130,000 merchants use ShipStation, and 98% of companies that use ShipStation for a year end up using it for life. You can connect to almost any selling channel you can think of. They've got scan-based workflows, bulk updates, and automation processes to ship your orders super fast. You can compare rates and then print labels in batches. And ShipStation will even instant update the tracking information to the selling channel and the customer once an order ships. You'll even get free comprehensive onboarding support to get you shipping faster right away. And you can get started by going to shipstation.com/JakeTran for a 60-day free trial. That's 2 months of cheaper, simpler shipping completely for free. Go to shipstation.com/JakeTran with the link below right now. Thanks to ShipStation for sponsoring this video.
All right, there's the link if anyone wants to use it.
The Panic of 1837 was one of the worst financial crises America had experienced at that time. Falling cotton prices, bad harvests, and inflation led banks to fail, businesses to go bankrupt, and unemployment to skyrocket. It was a nightmare for American bankers, but it was a very important lesson for a young naval officer from Sweden. His name was Andre Oscar Wallenberg. And in 1837, he had a front row seat to witness the chaos in America firsthand. The incompetence of American banks and bankers gave Andre Wallenberg an idea. He had clearly seen how banks should not be run, and he wondered why he couldn't just take what he learned back to his homeland to open up a better bank over there. He also saw a massive opportunity Swedish banks were missing out on. See, Swedish banks at the time were archaic. It was hard to transfer money between locations, you couldn't get a high interest rate for depositing your money, but most importantly, Swedish banks at the time didn't take the money people deposited into their savings accounts to lend out to other companies. Swedish banks were not lending to other companies during a time when Sweden was in the midst of industrialization. Corporations were becoming a thing. Multinational corporations were becoming a thing. Sweden's railroad network was being built, and Sweden's economy was skyrocketing. All these
Okay.
opportunities needed funding, but none of the existing banks were meeting the need. Think about just how big of an opportunity this was. Today, the idea of banks taking your deposits and lending it out like crazy is the norm. It's why they're so rich and powerful.
Yeah.
It's what led to the 2008 financial crisis. But back then in Sweden, banks were not participating in this financial alchemy.
Is that a Scottish flag that I saw up there?
When it was the best time to participate. So they were leaving an insane amount of money on the table. And if Andre Wallenberg could go back to Europe and establish a new modern bank, he could have the potential to become the most powerful banker in all of Sweden. And the great thing was, back in the 1800s, the banking sector was very different from what it is today. Today, one doesn't simply decide to go and open up a bank. Today's banking sector is
You know what's hilarious is I've actually had this thought before, years ago. I was like, why don't I just open up a bank? I was young.
regulated, it requires so much capital that's almost impossible to do unless you either partner with an existing bank or you're already rich and powerful to begin with. And side note, this huge barrier to entry is by design. The big banks don't want anyone else opening up shop to compete. But luckily for Andre Wallenberg, 200 years ago, banking was the Wild West. Anyone could open up shop and start shackling people in debt. You could open up a bank as easily as you could open up a jewelry store or a doctor's office. So with the help of his colleagues, Andre Wallenberg managed to open up the Stockholm and Skilda Bank, or SEB, in 1856. And the SEB was unlike anything Sweden had seen before. It encouraged the public, average everyday Joes to deposit their hard-earned money into savings accounts. These savings accounts offered actually good interest rates, so the longer you left your money in your savings account, the more interest it could earn you. So the masses flocked to SEB.
Man, it's really hard to, even nowadays, to find like a good bank that offers a high interest rate. Man, you really have to search around. I mean, I guess a quick Google search would do it, but I don't know about your guys' banks, but like our major banks like Bank of America, Chase, whatever else, the ones there are, they don't offer any interest, which I think is so ridiculous. But yeah, so I don't bank with them anymore.
Again, this sounds very normal today, but back then, this wasn't something that was available to the average person in Sweden. But just like today, little did those customers know that the money they put in the bank wasn't being kept safe for you in a big vault in the back. No,
Nope.
Wallenberg would then take your money and then lend it out to other people and businesses during the best possible time to be lending out money in Sweden, during industrialization. And for Wallenberg, it was a gold rush. The SEB became so popular that it quickly took over Sweden's entire banking industry. Sweden had become conquered, but not by a foreign power, but a domestic one, and the weapon of choice was banking. Suddenly, the Swedish people either had their money with Wallenberg, or they were slaving away to pay off the debt they owed to Wallenberg. And the way they slaved away to pay back the debt was by working for a company that owed money to Wallenberg. It was genius. But the Wallenbergs didn't stop there. Sure, their family fortune was growing at an exponential rate, but they're bankers. They know they can't just let all this cash sit there not working for them, but where to invest all this cash? Why not just buy all the companies in Sweden? That way, the entire population of Sweden would have their money deposited with the Wallenbergs, they would also owe money to the Wallenbergs, and to pay off that debt, they would have to get up every day in the morning and go to work for a Wallenberg company. A Wallenberg company that owed money to, you guessed it, the Wallenbergs. It was simply the last logical step in the financial enslavement of Sweden, and it would propel the Wallenberg family into the 1% of not just Sweden, but the entire world.
So where are we at today? Realizing Sweden.
The Wallenberg family started buying majority stakes in hundreds of Swedish companies. They call it, quote, the liberal transformation of Swedish society, end quotes. From railways to factories to international trade and LLCs, there was not a major company in Sweden that the Wallenbergs didn't have some stake in. But in 1916, they ran into a problem. The Swedish government started seeing the danger of allowing banks to own major businesses, while also getting those businesses and people in debt to them. So the Swedish government passed a law that made it nearly impossible for banks to own long-term shares of industrial businesses. But the Wallenbergs weren't so quick to give up. So to get around this new law, the Wallenberg family created Investor AB, a very
Like, when is enough money enough? With like bankers and just some of these people that are just extremely wealthy. I mean, I watched a little bit of the F1 race. What is it, Monaco? All the yachts pulling in with like sports cars on top of them, and oh my god, I'm like, geez, man.
big sounding holding company that was given full ownership of all the businesses their bank owned. Investor AB became the Wallenbergs' personal investment arm, and the crisis was averted. The firm did so well that by the 1970s, the Wallenberg family employed more than 40% of Sweden's entire industrial workforce and owned 40% of the country's entire stock exchange. There wasn't a single aspect of the banking cycle the Wallenberg family didn't profit from. But then came World War II.
Okay. Guarantee you anything they got even richer.
And the Wallenbergs were left with a decision. Which side of the war would they profit from? The Allies or Hitler? So the Wallenbergs decided to take a page out of the Rothschilds' playbook and said,
both. Am I right? Both? Yep.
A century earlier, the Rothschild had gone down the history books for lending money to both sides of wars. That way, no matter which side won, both sides became indebted to you, and you always come out on top. That's why as a banker, you always want to play both sides. Watch our full documentary on the Rothschild dynasty by clicking the card in the top right corner right now to learn more. And this was a lesson the Wallenbergs took to heart when World War II came around. On one side, they had Germany, who was facing strict sanctions, and the possibility of losing billions of dollars as the Allies shut down their businesses. On the other hand, they had America and Britain, who desperately needed banking services in Europe to continue fighting. So here's what they did. While one Wallenberg brother dealt with the Allies in London and New York, offering their bank services to their war efforts, the other brother stationed himself in Berlin. There, the Wallenbergs offered to buy important German military supply companies, like Bosch, to prevent them from being seized or shut down by the Allies. Technically, it was legal to buy these companies if you intended to keep them and use them according to the law, but what the Wallenbergs were doing was very different. Instead of buying and keeping these companies, they signed agreements that stated that they promised to sell the companies back to Germany as soon as Germany wanted them back, in exchange for a fat fee, of course. Not only did the Wallenberg family keep Germany's most important companies safe from the Allies in exchange for money, they went to extreme lengths like running black market operations and money laundering to ensure that they could keep making money on both sides of the war. Now, it would be unfair not to mention that one Wallenberg, Raoul Wallenberg, actually saved between 4,000 and 35,000 Jews during World War II by issuing them Swedish papers. He later died in prison after being captured by the Soviet Union. But playing both sides became so profitable for the Wallenberg family that more than 50 years later, they were still using the exact same playbook. The Wallenbergs owned Ericsson, a multinational telecom company, and when a certain violent organization in the Middle East that rhymes with crisis threatened to shut down one of Ericsson's transport routes in Iraq, Ericsson simply paid the violent organization tens of millions of dollars in bribes to guarantee their safety. After Russia invaded Ukraine in 2014 and got slapped with every sanction known to man, companies Atlas Copco and SKF, both companies the Wallenbergs hold stakes in, continued to sell crucial equipment to Russian nuclear weapons programs. But now the family was faced with another existential crisis: solving the problem of passing down generational wealth. See, although having rich parents may sound tempting, most kids that come from rich families are dead inside. They have no purpose, no drive. That's why 9 out of 10 of the world's richest families lose their wealth by the third generation. There's a famous quote that sums this up. My grandfather walked 10 miles to work every day. My father walked 5. I'm driving a Cadillac. My son is in a Mercedes. My grandson will be in a Ferrari. But my great-grandson will be walking again. So the Wallenberg family had to find a way to escape the curse of the third generation.
Alright, how'd they escape the curse?
Instead of passing down the entire Wallenberg family fortune to one or two sons, most of their money is kept in family-run foundations, while dozens of family heirs are each put in charge of different foundations and businesses that make up their vast empire. That way, no one single heir has the power to single-handedly destroy the entire family fortune. And before any of the Wallenberg family members reach a management position, they're required to actually spend time working in the company to gain real-life experience. This careful, methodical approach to passing on wealth and companies that the Wallenbergs took is basically the exact opposite of what the Vanderbilts did. The Vanderbilt dynasty came to power at around the same time as the Wallenbergs, and the Vanderbilts became the richest family in the entire world, beating out the Wallenbergs by a long shot. But Cornelius Vanderbilt, the family's patriarch, didn't trust his family with his business or money. He had 13 kids, but instead of mentoring all of them to divide up his wealth, he left his entire fortune to just one of his sons. The rest of his kids got practically nothing. And at first it worked. His son ended up doubling the family fortune, but from that point on it was all downhill. His son also didn't take a very methodical approach to passing down the money, so the rest of the family only knew how to spend money. Mansions, lavish parties, yachts, you name it, they bought it.
Vanderbilt is literally on everything here in the US. The hospital, about 10 minutes away from my house, Vanderbilt Hospital.
So within just 50 years of the patriarch's death, the entire $200 billion fortune had completely vanished. When 120 members of the Vanderbilt family met for a family reunion in 1973, not a single one of them was a millionaire. And we break down how the Vanderbilts lost their entire fortune in a new video on our new Spanish channel. So if you're mainly a Spanish speaker or you have friends and family that only speak Spanish, so you've never been able to share these videos with them, now you can. Click the card on the screen to watch and share it with them now.
All right,
Click the card on the screen.
that's a wild story. I had no idea that this family existed. Are you guys pretty, like, familiar with the Wallenbergs? I would imagine so, if they're anything like the Vanderbilts with us here in America, where everyone knows, you know, the story of the Vanderbilts. I've never heard of the Wallenbergs before, though. Interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. All right, but thanks for the recommendation. If you guys enjoyed this video, you want to see anything else like this, be sure to like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.